provide for environmental considerations?
The Honourable Minister.
I'll just deal with Dr Duncan Webb's issues. I'm advised that the Act does not override the Ngāi Tahu Claims Settlement Act, so the treaty obligations as per that Act remain extant. In relation to his, I found it a somewhat confusing point, but I think he was basically making a point around how do we know who the people are. I'm advised by the officials that all of the companies or people listed in Schedule 2A are either the owner of the project or have an access arrangement for it, so I think that deals with his point. The more substantive contribution was made by Lan Pham, and I don't want to relitigate what I've said. The government is not going to change the purpose clause for the reasons that I've already given, but I was intrigued by her remarks that the RMA is still enabling, that the RMA is an enabling piece of legislation. That was the view when it was passed in 1991. I think actually, and I don't think I'm going too far as to say this, the RMA has been one of the biggest public policy failures in New Zealand history, because the RMA is almost directly responsible for the fact that over the last 20 years we have had the fastest house price growth in the OECD. And the Infrastructure Commission, again, has done really interesting research on this, which shows that since the inception of the Town and Country Planning Act 1977, which layered on zoning and introduced the modern day form of zoning and town and country planning, it's clues in the name, and then accelerated by the RMA in 1991, we have endured, I was going to say enjoyed, we have endured extremely high house price growth, rental price growth, and have now the affliction of a housing crisis that in a country that has the land mass the size of the United Kingdom, but yet only 5 million people in it, it should not have to endure. It is one of the great tragedies of New Zealand history over the last 30 years, that kids live in cars and motels and students and young families pay exorbitant rents and people can't get their feet onto the property ladder because we have not zoned enough land in a country the size of the UK. So I'm intrigued by the idea. What's that? Yeah. While we fix it fundamentally and we change the fast track, and the NBEA, the Natural Built Environment Act, would have been way worse. So that's why we got rid of it, because it was a 10-year transition window and everyone was going to have to start getting on with it. So the member knows exactly why. So I'm intrigued by the comment that the RMA has been enabling. Actually, the RMA has helped directly contribute to the infrastructure crisis. And we know, again, research shows billions, over $1 billion spent per year on consenting costs for infrastructure. You know, it's the $785 million of road cones. That's the health and safety stuff. But there's equally the same when it comes to resource consenting. Endless time and money for Bell Gully and Russell McVeigh and Buttle Finlay and all of the top-tier law firms to spend time arguing up and down the country in councils and the Environment Court and the Court of Appeal and beyond. 2.5 years to find a Supreme Court decision about whether or not the East-West link can go ahead. Endless, arcane arguments about what does the word avoid mean. We've spent 20 years of jurisprudence on the word avoid in the Coastal Policy Statement and King Salmon and all that other malarkey. You know, part of the problem with this country is a myopic focus on the environment at the expense of nearly everything else. We are humans. We live in an environment. We need houses, we need roads, we need rail, we need public transport, we need renewable energy, we need mines, we need quarries. It is nearly impossible to consent a quarry. And again, we have a shortage of aggregate. You can't consent a quarry. The further a quarry is from a road you try and build, the costs go up astronomically. So this idea the RMA has been enabling, I'm sorry, that idea is fanciful. The RMA is a straitjacket on the growth of this economy, which could be so much wealthier, so much more prosperous, and so much more renewable and clean and green if we could only untrammel ourselves from the straitjacket of dumb planning laws that have a myopic focus on environmental effects above all else. We are humans, we live in an environment, we should take advantage of it and protect it, but it does not mean we need to have a myopic focus on every single environmental effect.
I guess that's the end of my quick question, quick answer attempt, but I will warn the Minister, but doing a general debate speech as part of a committee stage does open lots of areas for questioning, but be it on his own head. I'll go to the Honourable David Parker.
Thank you for the call, Mr Chairman.